Hi, I'm Zachary Angela, and we're going to be going over the gist of Go functions. I just wanted to start out with just doing a simple function. You just use the keyword func, and then the name of the function with round brackets, and then followed by curly brackets. And so in order to have the function do something, and then you have to call the function, usually within whatever state you're thinking about running it in. And if we run it, it works. Now if you want to do something a little more complicated, you could add in parameters, and these parameters, you just start out with some kind of name, any kind of name you want, and then followed by the data type. And if you're going to be adding another one, you would have to use a comma. And if you're going to be using these values, you could state them within the print statement, but then you have to add parameters here. If you didn't, the compiler will tell you not enough arguments. So you would do some kind of value, and then when you go to run it, so if you want to return values, let's say you want to get out of the scope of the function, if you're going to be returning more than one value, you have to state the data type right next to the parameters inside round brackets. So you would do int, comma, string, and yes, they do have to be in the order at which you're returning them. So let's say you're returning B. This will return the int and the string that you're getting, and it's stated right here. And then if you're going to be returning it, you have to save it in memory, because if you don't, compiler will complain. Or not, it just, you didn't save it in memory, so it doesn't do anything. So if you did C, comma D, but then you have to use these values, that I do know the compiler will complain about. And so if you print them out, it prints out the same thing just outside the function. If you want to put a function inside of a function, you can't state the function inside of it, meaning you can't just do func run2, like this won't work. But what you can do is state it outside, and then when you go into function, you can do run2. That will call function inside of a function. You can even have the function call itself as sort of a recursive thing, but you have to make sure that it ends. Or you can do some kind of logical statement, but you have to make sure the two data types equal each other. So if you did A equals B, then it's going to work because B is a string, A is an int. So you'd have to do some int, curly, and then return A, B. And if you don't do return and it's true, the compiler is going to complain because you're not returning a value that you stated you're going to be. And so if you did this, this would work because no matter what is going on, you're definitely returning some kind of value. But if you were to put, let's say, this, it won't work because it never actually gets to that because of the return statement. The return statement just automatically ends the function. So you have to kind of be wary of that, because if you do run this, it never actually runs that function. But if, let's say, you had some kind of return thing in here that, you were hoping to put the return into here somehow and have it do its thing kind of in a witty way, it ain't gonna like it. So yeah, so you basically have to have it return something if you're going to state these return parameters, and the function has to have something that runs before the return statements if you want it to actually run. Now for methods, so let's say you have a struct and it just has a simple name property, and you want to make the method, you have to add round brackets again, p, you use any name that's going to be the name of the type person, and then the actual name of the function. And you could add parameters here as well. So let's say we were going to print a b, and this takes in a int, let's say b, I don't know, float. And then now if you're going to return values, you have to do int float 32. Now we actually have to return the values, so you do return a b. And so in order to use the type in its method, we have to go in the main function, and we're going to be returning two values, so it'd be e, f, and then we do run, well no, we have to state the function type, we have to initialize it, so that would be p equals person name colon whatever name you're going to give it, and then if you want to use that, you would have to do p, because p is of type person, so person has that method run3. You have to give it then an int and some float, so that would be, let's say 3.3, sure, and then you have to use these two values. So let's run that, see if we didn't miss anything. Nope. So basically what we did was we created a function, added some parameters, some returns, did a logical statement to make sure that the return always happens, and we put a function inside of a function, and we created a struct type, added a method to it. It has some parameters, some returns, and then we initialize the struct, and we save the return values from its method, and we printed it out. I think that's relatively, I mean, you can use function types as well. So like instead of, let's say this, it would be func. I think it could be like this. I would have to, so if you did, let's say run2 inside of there, and you did, I'm just kind of going off a whim here. And let's say you, because you're not returning anything in that function, so if we did something that would return it, let's say int, and so if we're going to be using this, only problem is the other function that runs inside of here is also going to be a little goofy with that, because here. So if we did run 3, it's not a float anymore. We did run 2. Because if we are going to do this, it has to be some kind of function. So that run 2 is a function, and that run 2 returns an int. So I think the int will then be saved into here. We'll try it out. Mixing function body. Line 30. So I wonder if it has to have 35. It doesn't have 35, 30. Int as type function and argument 9. Use a run type int. Oh, because it's returning it, so it's considering it as also an int. Now that is interesting. If you were to do this, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense though. Cannot use run 2 type int. Because run 2 is returning an int. So if we just did this and we didn't return any value, would this then use its value? So I wonder, so you don't use the ROM brackets, you just call the name. And since we're saving it in memory, because we're not returning anything, well, we're just using the function as a return. It gets the memory address. Well, I think I've gone over the gist of Go functions enough. Hopefully you learned something, and let me know if you like it. Thank you.